When it comes to finances, there is a fundamental age that you should really start beginning this. Today's video, we're going to be answering some questions when it comes to really the 25 to 35 age group. Now, it's very important, guys, because this is kind of the point where you finished high school, you've already kind of finished college for a majority of us, even if you're going 4 to 6 years. But this is the fundamental point where, one, when you start investing, you're going to have the ability to actually get a lot of compounding interest. Because again, that 25 to 35 age is really where a majority of us kind of find ourselves starting to get into a grown-up phase, starting to get a real job, getting set in our careers, moving out of our parents' houses, and really, again, kind of starting possibly a family, starting a relationship or a long-term relationship, getting married, and things of that nature. So then the question becomes, from the 25 to 35, do you have enough financial information and enough financial planning basics to start building wealth? Like I said earlier, guys, this is the fundamental age when wealth creation really starts, because if you're thinking at an individual at 25 and they're retiring at 65, you have a 40-year window to build wealth. If you're building it on a consistent basis over that 40-year time frame, you can easily be $1 million to $5 million down the road when you get to retirement, never having to worry about anything, and also leaving a legacy when it comes to yourself, but also your kids, your grandkids, and so on and so forth, with the money that you put in and that you've invested through the financial planning. So at this age, of course, 25 to 35, you do have a considerable amount of time left. Now, some of the questions that you need to be asking, and again, we're going to run through these kind of systematically. Number one, do I have enough money to cover emergency expenses? Now, we know when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to finances itself, the emergency fund is one of the absolute primary things that you have to focus on once you do the elimination of debt. But even looking at this age, you're at the point where you haven't hopefully accumulated a ton of debt. There could definitely be some student loan debt out there, but you're not sitting on $10, $30, $50, $70,000 of credit card debt like we see with some Americans, because at a younger age, hopefully nobody extended that much credit to you that you got in that much of a hole going through school. This is kind of the debt repayment phase. So once we do get kind of the short-term emergency fund, even looking at baby steps, guys, saving that first $1,000, this is the point that you want to start eliminating and paying down debt. Now, a majority of individuals at this age do not start this right now, but it is the time when the student loan payments start coming due once you've started graduating, even a year or two after graduation. But this is the point in life, guys, when you start in your career that you can knock out those student loans. Even though a student loan is usually for 10 years, if not longer, you do not want to carry the student loan for that long for really two things. Number one, it is very expensive, guys. When you look at the interest that you're paying on student loans every single month, it makes a game-changing difference if you have the ability to keep a lot more of the income that you're receiving versus paying out those student loans. And again, you're still at the age of life where maybe you haven't accumulated so much debt, you don't have a mortgage payment, maybe even you're at the point where you're rooming with someone else, your rent expenses are relatively low. In addition to that, guys, it is a big financial burden that people are carrying for 10 years. Similar to a mortgage, I mean, nobody wants even an auto loan. You're talking 5, 6, 7 years. You're not even carrying that thing for 10 years. Student loan debt is really a pandemic that we see in America with carrying that debt forever. So definitely eliminating, once you have that short-term emergency fund saved, starting to really knock down systematically. If you have credit card debt, eliminating it. If you have student loans, eliminating those, and systematically getting to the point where you don't have debt. And when you get your paycheck minus what you're paying, you still have money left over to save for a house, save for a wedding, vacation, whatever it may be, guys. Now you have money to save. Second one, how does my credit score compare with my peers? This, of course, is a point at 25 that you should have a well-established credit score. Now, I know a lot of people say you don't need credit scores, which is absolutely true, guys, but this does come with a lot of caveats. Lenders do base their lending requirements on credit scores. When it also comes to lending, a majority of the rates are dictated by the credit score itself, meaning that if you're 25 to 35 and you have no credit history, if you need to borrow money, so if you're going to get your mortgage, a majority of lenders will not lend to you without a credit score. You could really supersede this with a very healthy down payment, and some companies might take a look at it, but I know a majority of them, and me working in the financial industry, most of them will not look at you or will not consider lending to you if you do not have a credit score. Now with that, guys, you want to establish credit habits, which you should have already started kind of doing at this point, but you also want to make sure paying down those credit cards that your score stays in about the 700 plus range so you can try to get the best rates when it comes to lending. Now, 25 to 35 again, will my family be taken care of if something happens to me? This again, is there someone who is reliant on you? Is it a spouse? It is a child, who is going to take care of the family? And again, I know this is a little bit of a morbid question, but it is a big picture question, guys, where there's going to be a point between 25 and 35 where it is not just you. It is not just the reliance of yourself. You have the reliance of other people within your family. If your parents depend on you, if your siblings depend on you, if you, again, have a family, there's going to be a point, guys, where life insurance, even though a lot of people really supersede or do not get life insurance, term life insurance is super cheap, especially at the age 25 to 35, where you could possibly put like $20, $30 a month, get $100,000 in coverage. That way, God forbid, if anything does happen to you, everyone is going to be set, really supporting your income and have the ability to cover funeral expenses and things of that nature. Now, the next one we look at is what point can I afford home ownership? Now, this, guys, of course, is really driven by how much are you saving for the down payment and what does it look like when you're looking at a mortgage payment? You have to remember, you have principal, you have interest, you also do have insurance, you could carry PMI if you don't have that down payment. And then also, what does the rate environment look like and exactly where are you going to be purchasing? Now, we know if you're looking to purchase, let's say in Tennessee versus New York City, it is going to be a very different dynamic and a very different makeup. When it comes to the mortgage, is it going to be a condo? Is it going to be a house? Is it going to be a starter house? Is it going to be a fixer upper? There are a lot of things to remember when you're budgeting for a house. And again, the 25 to 35 range is usually when we see this planning going on. But for a majority of people, there isn't the planning going on. And that's what, as a financial counselor, really kind of bothers me a little bit, is because I'm not seeing the planning. People will rush in. They want a house. They want a house. They want a house. They don't know the cost that it comes with it. When you look at utilities, when you look at repairs, when you look at maintenance, there's a lot of costs outside of just being able to make that monthly mortgage payment when it comes to home ownership. Now, of course, the big thing, like we've talked about before, have I taken on more debt than I can handle in relationship to my income? There's a very, very easy way to stay out of debt, guys. It is literally so basic. It is so simple. It is fundamentally, and has been for thousands of years, honestly, at this point, the amount you make minus what you spend is what you have left over. With that leftover bucket, you can repay debt, you can pay down debt, you can invest it, you can set it aside for a house, a wedding, a vacation, anything. The problem that we run into is you have your paycheck, you have your liabilities. At the end of the month, there is nothing left over, or you're running in a negative. We see a lot of people who are running on a regular basis, running in the red or running in negative, living outside of their means. And to do this, they supplement income with credit card debt. That is why, guys, as a nation, we're almost at $1.1 trillion in credit card debt, is because we are supplementing the income we are not earning with essentially making the difference up with credit card debt because we can't afford. So the liabilities are really overrunning the income we're bringing home. Now, what is the long-term effect of this? If you think of running that scenario 5-10 years down the road, that is how the people get $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in credit card debt. And all of a sudden they get to a point where they realize they can't afford to not only pay down the debt, but they can't afford to make the regular payments on the debt, which is kind of crazy, guys. And the final thing to think about, especially when you're 25 to 35, am I spending too much money and where is my money going? This is one of the big things, guys, when it comes to the calculator and really the budget, making sure you know where your money goes. And again, fundamentally, guys, most people are not taught this when they're little. When you start going to middle school, high school, even when you get into college, when it comes to financial planning, when it comes to the financial fundamentals, there are a ton of research and there are a ton of people out there that will do this for free. I do it myself, guys. I am a financial counselor through a credit union, and we do financial planning and financial counseling for free, guys. It is something a majority of credit unions do offer, and it is a free service that we offer to our members, which is great to see. Not a lot of utilization from the people that do it, but I find an incredible amount of benefit for the ones that do want kind of the guidance when it comes to investing, when it comes to saving, debt repayment, coming up with a plan. As we know, as Americans right now, it is very, very taboo in our family structure, whether it is brothers and sisters, family, parents, to talk about finances. And I really want to break that stigma, or what a lot of people say, because overall, guys, you should be discussing finances. And they even say as young as 5 to 7 years old should be incorporated into the financial conversations that you do have in the household. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Really looking at the financial planning when it comes to 25 to 35. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.